Hey, what's up guys? Team Hard Life Captain Alberto Zertuche here. Alright, so we just got back from Beachmasters where we took first place shark, second place shark, and most inches between me and Damon. Damon came out on top, taking the top honors on this tournament, which is great. It's awesome, and it's truly a blessing to see it because I can remember when he first started on the pier and getting his gear together and upgrading, and man, that dude has put in a tremendous amount of work. So I want to take the time on video real quick to let him know that great job, awesome abilities that he's got and stuff like that. So good to go. And so awesome too, you know, the top sharks came out of our camp too, which is pretty awesome. Now the deal is, y'all remember in the video where I got cut off, or I said I got cut off? Well, now I need to find out how far out that boat was, because that gives us kind of an idea where I had to kayak out to just to find the line and so forth. Even though I didn't find it immediately, I went to the right, went to the left, and finally ran into it, and then came all the way back in. So the one thing is I got to get that knot out of there and get it spliced in right and get it all back on there. But two, I need to top shot it again because I lost maybe 100 yards or so of line right on the last night. It was about 1 in the morning when I got cut off. There was a lot of sharks out there, and as you can tell, there was a lot of actions, and so I had to do so many videos because it just was unable for me to put it all into one video. So I do again thank everybody that's watching and following on all of those. And now it's time to fix and get ready for the next tournament, which is in a few weeks, I believe. And also too, there could be a big chance that I'm going to be in Florida here in the next few weeks fishing with some pretty big gents out there. So that's going to come, and I can't divulge any more information until we get there. So we're going to knock this out real quick. This thing is heavy when it's not on a rod, I can tell you what, man. That's no joke, but still, it's so much fun being able to know that I can kayak out as far as I want and not have to worry about how much line is left back on the reel. And even when I got cut off, I was still able to tow out so much line and get to the bottom of everything and fix it and then get back to fishing. Yep, there goes the knot, so I need to keep going further down just because I want to make sure I level this off right for my next jig. Alright guys, so that's what the spool looked like when I finally kayaked out all that line. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to put all the line back on and set up my top shot, but I want to know where I'm at on my line capacity. So again, once I drop bait, I'll know exactly where I'm at. And by me doing this, I didn't lose any of that line. So I'll be able to figure out the math once again. That way, if I end up dropping the monster run again, I'll tell you what, it was a lot easier to run bait second and third time once the wind picked back up, because I actually had a breeze and it wasn't completely stifling hot. They said the heat index that day was like 112, 118 degrees where we were at. So that was, it was hot. It was real hot. Yeah, got it zeroed out. Time to get back on it. sore from this weekend. That was a lot of cranking I did. A lot of cranking. Tell you another thing that I noticed too. When I was working with this reel, when I went to go pulling in my weight and everything on the final day, I was about 400 yards when I got asked by Damon, you know, how much longer or how far out am I? When I told him 400, we were looking at it at the time because we kept checking the time to make sure we get off the beach in time to download everything, get to Galveston within, you know, the time needed to get our paperwork in for our weigh-in. When I told him 400 yards, we were seriously looking at the time. You know, it was what we were normally used to, then making the choice of, okay, we can't stop to download anything, we got to hit straight over there kind of deal. And at that point, I hit the third sandbar. Well, when I came over the fourth, into the third, it got real loose on me because I was low gearing it. So I jumped it up into high gear, and this thing reels in so fast, I was pulling in that 15-ounce weight, plus that big old Jack Crevalle that had my leftover bait on it, into the beach in about maybe 5 minutes, which is virtually unheard of for us doing it with, you know, the 80 Avet. So that really caught my partner's eye because, you know, that is something that it's hard to do. You know, the 82 speeds have a faster gear ratio than this T-Rex does. However, when it came to those inches of crank per spool, this one puts out a bigger crank on it, so I was able to crank faster and harder, even though I was completely drained. Elbow was screaming at me to quit. I was able to roll. We were able to get down, you know, off the beach, come to the shop, download everything we needed to download, and still get to weigh in with 30 minutes to spare. And it kind of surprised them there too. You know, they made a comment. They're like, "Man, they're like, you're here early," you know. So for us, whoa, there's my splice. So for us to get there early on and stuff like that, that's a major thing that we're taking notice to. And while I was out on the kayak, this is the splice I did just because I don't want to take the rigging needles because they're so little, and when you introduce them into that much saltwater environment, even though you rinse them off and stuff, it's still not good for them. So I just did a simple uni knot to get my lines back together so I can get them to the shop so I can splice them. So that drop, well, just to get to the end here and meet up with it, was 740 yards out. That's a distance. That's how close the boat was to the beach, and we still got cut off at that distance. And what I also noticed too was that because it was so calm, the braid never sunk. It was a few feet, maybe a foot under the water surface, and you know, it was able to be caught up in the prop, and you know, we got cut off. However, I was able to catch it and find it really quick without having to drag any weights or anything like that. But man, I do have to admit, this is some pretty awesome line, the tough braid, because like I said, I was bombing it. Every chance I had, I was putting this as deep as I could go, you know, into the winds, into the waves. And granted, I didn't make that 2,300 yard drop again, but I was still able to break 1,500 yards every single time without even really trying. And the kayak is a major thing that helped us out. So, you know, guys that are getting into it and stuff like that, oh, that's another thing too. As I was coming along, I've done, you know, caught our braids before when we got cut off, but we were always used to the hand paddles. And even then I've done it on the Hobie. However, it was a pain in the butt because with the Hobie, it's only made to go one direction unless you have one of the newer models. But the newer models too, it has a bunch of joysticks that you got to move around in order for it to go into reverse and stuff like that. And or when I was hand paddling, I had to stop and go in reverse, and at the same time I'm doing that, I'm pushing myself away from the braid. And so, like I said, since I've done it before, I remembered all the trial and tribulations of catching my line and splicing it back in, where I was on this pedal drive, and as soon as I came to the end of the line, I was able to pedal in reverse while still holding my rudder in the position I needed it to go, and hold myself in that position against the waves as well without getting too far away from the line. Also too, dealing right at the ends of the line, you know, I didn't have a lot of room to play to pull line or, you know, drift away from where the end of the line was. It would have pulled off on me, or I wouldn't have been able to make the knot as small as I did. As you can see, I didn't leave a whole big old, you know, 2 or 3 foot, you know, tag lines on there. I left shorter ones, but still, you know, that was just, I was trying to get it tied as quickly as possible as well, because the amount of hits and hookups we were having, I didn't want to take a chance at losing a fish with that much line out on it, plus the leader and everything, and, you know, basically sign a shark's death warrant. You know, I wasn't about to have that. So I was able to do that knot fairly quickly, get it on board, and then we were able to tighten up our line. And even then, with that knot in place, I was still able to land that 8-foot tiger from that distance with really not even trying, and which was kind of upsetting. You know, I was hoping for something, you know, in the 12-foot plus range or 13-foot, you know, to really test this reel. But, you know, it's fishing, you know, you're gonna put the lines out another day, put another bait out, and hopefully you'll get that big fish that you're looking for. So for me, it didn't work out during the tournament, but it's all good. We got my lines back. I was still able to place second. My tournament partner got first and most inches, which is pretty awesome. It's the second year in a row too of him placing and taking the tournament. So now I know where my competition is, always in camp. All right, so now that I know where my first splice is at, I can go ahead and get everything back on there. Alright, so 2,270 yards, and the last time we put a top shot it was 2,365 yards. So I'm not missing too much. I'm missing 90 yards, 95? No. Yeah, 95 yards is all I'm missing, which ain't too bad. But what I'm gonna go ahead and do though, is put a top shot of 200-pound test, just so I can get my reel back up to where I want it to be. Granted, the 200 is going to take up a little bit more space than what I'm normally used to. Well, it's going to take up a little bit more space because it's a thicker line. However, I want a full spool, so I'm going to maintain it. And this will also, like I said, go back to show you why we use hollow core, because now I'm pretty much using brand new line all the time. A little bit that I lost was not much. That means more than likely the shark was circling my bait trying to find it when I got cut off. And that was another thing too. We lost 2 big leaders because the shark actually bit right behind the weight. We got the whole leader back except for the weight section on out. So I'm wondering, maybe it was a tiger shark scavenging my surf weight instead of the bait. You know, they are scavenger feeders. They've had license plates and tires and boots in their belly, propellers as well. So, you know, there's no telling what could have happened, but it was definitely a shark that ate through the leader. So now, let me get this back on here real quick. And I do have to say too, the tough line performed flawlessly while we were out there. Like I said, all the other reels had Jerry Brown, except for this one. It had the tough braid in there, and it was straight 130 all the way to the leader, and no worries, no problems, other than when the boat cut me off. So, truly impressed with it, and that's why we're going to continue going on with the tough braid. Fisherman's choice here at Hard Lives Bait and Tackle. Alright, so I'm at 2420, the top shot. So I actually got more on this time because, yeah, I went up a little further. That was the thing I noticed too. When I ran it out that deep and I brought it in, I inserted more of a gap because I was able to go slower by hand cranking than actually on the machine. On the machine, you can see I get it gapped out more, whereas by hand cranking, it's a lot slower process, so I'm able to fit more line on my spool because I'm hand cranking it by myself. So now we're up to 2420 on total yardage on top of the original. So 2420. So that takes us back up to $14.35. 38.55. So I improved it by 55 yards. Nice, very nice. So again, and there you go. 2420 on top of 1,435 yards of the 200-pound mix and 130-pound mix I already had on the reel from the last time. Those were the 4 lines, and then the 130 tough braid. This is the old number. This is the new number now. So I'm definitely going to keep track of this so that way we can continue on with our testing of the tough braid. But like I said, it came through with flying colors.